Today is Monday, May the 11th, and we're going to be doing day 11 and if you'll look at your Unit 7 factoring polynomial table of contents, day 11, and it's homework number 8. This is where we're at. You just finished up your quiz, and you're doing day 11, and it looks like this. This is what your homework looks like. And you have a warm-up here. Today you're going to be factoring the slip and slide method, but first we're going to do some warm-up to review some of the questions that we have already completed. Let's look at x squared plus 14. This should have been an x plus 45. Well, remember we took the two factors. We know 9 and 5 multiplied together give you 45. We need to make a 14 in the middle. So we know 9x plus 5x is equal 14x. So our answer is x plus 9, x plus 5. Same thing on this one, but we see this is a negative, so we know one of our factors is going to be negative. We see that the biggest factor is going to be a negative because it has to be a negative in between. So if we have a negative 7, so that'd be a negative 7n and a positive 4n, that would give you your 3n. So it's n minus 7, n plus 4. And remember, you can check that by going n squared, 4 plus 4n, minus 7n, minus 28. And when we put these two together, that's going to give your 3n. And so it's very important that you do that. Okay, let's look at number 3. Okay, in number 3, we talked about factoring out the GCF, or the greatest common factor. We see that all of these are even, so we can factor out a 2. So 2 goes into 2 one time, leaving us an a squared. 2 goes into 2a one time, not a 2. That should be a 1a, or just an a. And 2 goes into 24 12 times. So if you're wanting a 1a, a positive 1a, 4 and 3 make 12, so we could have a positive 4 and a negative 3. Your 2 still stays over here. You bring down your 2. We're factoring this equation right here. We know that a plus 4, a minus 3 would give you your negative 12 and would give you a positive a. Same thing here. We see that they're all even. We could have done 2, but let's try 4. This is the smallest term, the greatest term in there, the smallest of all. Will 4 go into 24? Yes. Will 4 go into 20? Yes. So we're going to factor out a 4, not a 2, and leaves a p. 4 goes into 24, 6p. 4 goes into 25. And so we know we want a positive 5, but it's going to be a negative right here. So we know a negative times a negative makes a positive. So a negative 5 minus a negative 1 plus a negative 1 is a negative 6p. And so that would be how we factored those. And that's what we've done so far. So now you're going to be factoring trinomials in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c when there's not a GCF. Like in number 3 and 4, we had a GCF that we could factor out. So let's see what you're going to do here. When a, this is your a term, when a cannot be factored out by the GCF, we can possibly still factor the trinomial. The steps below show a method called slip and slide. So you're going to be working on that slip and slide method. So if you can't do the GCF method that we learned, factor out the GCF, then you have to do the slip and slide. So the first step is you're going to slip a, the a term, over to the c term and multiply them. So you would, like in this example right here, you're going to slip this 2 term because 2 will not go into 5 and 2 will not go into 3. So you cannot factor out the GCF. So you're going to move the 2 over here and multiply. 2 times 3 is going to give you 6. And that's where we got that. And it got rid of this term in front, the a term. So we're not going to have an a there now because you moved it over here. So then we're factoring out, then factor this new basic trinomial. Then you're going to divide, so we're going to factor it so we know it's x plus 3, x, and x plus 2, right? But still, you still have that slipped number over there, and so you're going to divide by, in this case, the 2 that we slipped over to the end. We know 2 goes into 2 one time. We know 3 goes into 2, it will not go evenly. So this is when you slide it back over in front of the, right here. You put it here, and this stays your 3. So let's look at what happens. So you slipped your 2 over here, your denominator, your 2 over here, and you left it right here, left this right here. And you see x plus 1, we didn't have anything. 1, we slipped over here, but we didn't really have to do that because it was 1. So when it divides in evenly, you're done. When you can cancel out that denominator. Here you could cancel out the denominator. Here you could not. So you have to slide it back over here and keep this number here. So our steps are slip a to the end of the trinomial and multiply by c. Then factor this new basic trinomial. And then divide both your factors by the value you slipped over in step 1. And then reduce the fraction and slide any denominator up next to the variable and distribute and check. Let's look at this one. We see that 5, there's not a GCF. It won't go into 17. It won't go into 6. So you're going to slide it over here to C. 5 times 6 is 30. So here's our new equation. And you've got to remember that you slid 5 over there, okay? And then step 2, you 15 times 2 would give you your negative 17. You had to find what factors make 30 but still would make a negative 17. Well, positive, it would be a negative and a negative because we have a negative in the middle. So you would have two negatives make a positive. 15 and 2, 15 plus, negative 15 plus a negative 2 is a negative 17. Well, then you've got to put it over the 5. And we see that you can factor out and just leave a 3. So you don't have to slide anything over here because we got rid of the 5. Here, we can't get rid of the 5, so we slide the 5 over here, and it's 5m minus 2. So we've moved this over here and we slid it over. So that is our final answer right here. So we have factored this out, and this is what it becomes. Let's look at the next one. We have we're going to slip the 6 over to the 4. 6 times 4 is 24, and we make our new equation. So that's step 1. Step 2 is you're going to factor, just like normal. We know 6 and 4 make 24, but is that going to make a 5? No. Well, what about a 12 and 2? No, that's not going to make a 5. What about an 8 and a 3? Yes, so we're going to use an 8 and a 3. And we know it's going to be negative in the middle, so it's going to be a negative 8 and a positive 3. So you're going to have a negative 8 and a positive 3. And we factored y minus 8, y plus 3, and that should give you your negative 24. And this is negative 8, positive 3 would give you a negative 5y. Now, we couldn't forget that we put the 6, we slipped a 6 over here, right? So we have to put this over a 6 when you factor. Because this, we really didn't get rid of it. We're just making it where we can factor it, and then we have to put it back in. Here, we put 8/6 can be reduced. We look at it, it can be reduced to 4/3 because both of these are even. This can be reduced to 1/2. So you're going to have to reduce first, reduce your fractions. And I don't think we said that. Excuse me. Reduce your fraction, or you're not going to get it in simplest terms. So make sure, I don't think that's in our steps. Reduce the fraction. You always do that anyway. Then we slide. The 3 will not go into 4, so we slide the 3 over in front of the y, minus 4. We slide the 2 over the y because it will not reduce, 2y plus 1. And that is your final answer. Let's look at this one right here. We're going to move the 12 over to the 5 and multiply. And you get c squared plus 11c minus 60. We're wanting 11 here, so we know 10 times 6 is not going to give you 11. 6 and we know this is minus, so one of these terms is going to be minus. We know that 30 times 2, is that going to give you 11? No. We know 15 and 4. So you see, I had to go down and look at all my different possibilities, my factors of 60, to find 2 that would still make my 11 in the middle. We need a positive 11, so it's going to be a positive 11 and a negative 4. So those are going to be our factors. And so we factored it out. Now, we had to put it over 12, but we see that this one can be reduced because 3 will go into both of those, which makes 15 divided by 3 is 5. 15 divided by 12 is 5. We know 4/12 can be reduced because 4 will go into 12. So we divide that by 4, divide that by 4. And the two numbers, the two do not, you're reducing each fraction individually, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to have common terms for both. They have to be just for this one and just for this one. So then I've reduced, so I reduced my fraction. Now you slip and you slide. Now you do your slide. Here is where you do your slide. This is the sliding part, the last step. You're going to move your 4 over here, and it's 5. You're going to move your 3 over here, 3c minus 1, and that is how you do that. Now let's go on, and we're going to work some more. Under the you try. I don't want you trying yet by yourself. You're going to try on your homework. We're going to do number 1. Let's look at it. We're going to move our 3 over here, which makes that 3 times 10, which is 30. Now we need to have an 11 out here, so it could be 10 and 3. No, that's not going to work. It could be 15 times 2, which that's not going to work. It could be 6 and 5, and that will work. And we see that this is negative, so both of these are going to be negative because there's a positive 30. So that is your answer. You're going to slide your 3 back in here. So you're going to divide by your 3. Sorry, you divide. You're going to do the divide step by the 3. We see that that one can be reduced. You have to reduce. Okay, so that is 3 is a total of 2 because it will go into it naturally. This one will not be reduced, so you have to slide it over there. So it's 3x minus 5. 3 goes into 6, so it cancels out that 3 and makes you a 2. 2 wholes. Let's look at the next one. 8x, we move the 8 over here to the 3. 8 times 3 is 24. And there is your simple trinomial. And then we see that 6 and 4 will make 10. We see this is a negative. So how can you make this a negative 6 and a negative 24? Because if you have a negative and a negative, that's going to make you a positive. I think this is not going to work. I think this should have been a, I think this is not right. I think this is supposed to be a positive, and this is supposed to be a positive. So this would be a negative and a negative. Oh, you could have a, sorry, they got it wrong. You can have this, a negative, but it can't be 6 and 4. It has to be 12 and 2, because you're wanting a negative 10, so it's going to be a negative 12. So they have this wrong right here. So it should be a negative 12 and a positive 2. Okay, so it's 12 over 8, which makes, divided by 3, divided by 4 is 3 halves. It's 3 halves, sorry, the answer key is wrong here. And this is divided by 8, so it is 2 eighths, which would be 1/4. So instead of halves, it's fourths. Okay? So then, this would be 2, sorry. This is going to be 2y, because you're slipping over there, minus 3, and 4y minus 1. And it just changed it a little bit here. Because they put the wrong numbers in here. So see how it does change your answers? Because when you do 12 eighths, it's divided by 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 goes into 8 2 times. So that changed this whole answer. It's similar, but it's not exact. And so if you don't, that would have got this whole thing wrong because the answer key was wrong. We're going to do one more. We're going to slip it. And then we'll do... Okay, we're going to slip this over here. 9 is 18. So then we have 18. We know 6 and 3 make 18. We have a negative and we have a positive 3. So it's positive here. It's negative there. So those are our numbers. We put this over 9 because we brought the 9 over. Okay? So we divide here. And, sorry. We divide here. We reduce here. 6/9, 3 will go into both of those, so that would be 2/3. 3 would go into both of these, which would be 1/3. We're going to slide. This is where you slide. Slide, slide. So it's 3m plus 2, 3m minus 1. So you're just sliding that 3 back over because it wouldn't divide into it. You can do number 4 on your own, see if you can get the answer. There is number 4. Let's do number 5. We're going to bring the 4 over. 4 times 1 is 4. Okay? So there is our answer, our formula. So it's a minus 2 because it's a positive. So it's minus 2 was our numbers that would make the 4 in the middle. We put it over the 4. So you divide. Then you reduce. Okay? And 2 goes into 4, 1/2. 2 goes into 4, 1/2. So here we have 2a. We slide the 2 over here. We slide the 2 over here. The 2 is slidden. 2a minus 1, 2. Do we notice these are the same? So we can put 2a minus 1 squared. And this is what you should put for your final answer. When you notice that both of them are the same, you need to bring it on over. You can do number 6 on your own. Let's do some examples with the GCF. Look for a GCF first, then factor the remaining trinomials. So when we see this one, we see, oh, these are all got a 10, a 0, or a 5 on the end. So we know we can factor out a 10 or a 5. It won't be a 10 because 10 won't go into the set, but it will be a 5. So it makes a 2k squared plus 15k plus 7. Well, we factored out this 5, but you still have an a term right here. So you've got to bring your a over to your c, which makes 2 times 7, which is 14. So the 5 is still there. Don't get rid of the 5. Then you factor. We see it's positive 14. So we need 2 and 7. 2 times 7 makes 14. 14 times 1 makes 14. And I think it's going to be 14 times 1, and they're both positive. Do you see that? So it is 14 times 1. Do you see I still leave my GCF over here? K plus 14, K plus 1. We're going to put the 7. Remember, we put a 7 over here when we slipped. So, I'm sorry, a 2. Not a 7, but a 2. So we put it over 2. And we see that 2 goes into 14 7 times. So guess what? You get to put just K plus 7. There's no sliding because we get rid of the 2. But here we can't get rid of the 2. You're going to slip it over 2K plus 1. And remember, you're still going to leave your GCF over here at the front, not getting rid of it. It stays. You keep bringing it down. Let's do number 9. And you can do number 8 on your own. This one's huge. 15 times 24. Oh, but first, can we factor out anything? Let's see, a 3. 3 goes into 15, 5. 3 goes into 18, 6. 3 goes into 8, 8 times. So a 3, we factored out a GCF of 3. So that's what you do first. And I did that. Then, when you have these big numbers, always check. See, I was going to get started. Then you're going to move your 5 over to the 8. 5 times 8, you're going to slip, okay? And you get y squared minus 6y minus 40. Then you're going to factor. And you see I'm bringing the 3 down every time. So when I factor, I know it could be a 8 and a 5. Would that give us a 6? No. It could be a 10 and a 4. Would that give us a 6? Yes. And we see it's negative. It's a negative 6, so it's going to be a negative 10. So y minus 10, y plus 2. Then we're going to put this back over the 5, because that's what we slipped. We slipped a 5 over here. So we put our 5 over. We know that 5 goes into 10 evenly 2 times. The 3, the GCF, stays out here. We know the 5 does not go into 4. We slip it over here. So we're going to slide it back over here. Not slip, but slide it back over there. There was nothing to you reduce. Remember, you reduce, and we could reduce this one, get rid of the 5. 5y plus 4, and that is your final answer. You can do this one on your own. We notice that this one's a square too. So look at this pattern right here. These are squares. So look at those. Okay. For homework, you're going to do, this is for Monday night, May the 11th. And you need to keep up with this week and do all your lessons on time, because you are going to have your test and you have a surprise at the end. So make sure that you keep up with your day's lessons and don't get behind, because we're getting close to the end of the year and you don't want to have a lot of stuff to do at the very end. So this is your test. It's your homework for tonight. Homework 8. To complete the lesson, you'll need to turn in your teaching pages and your homework page by Monday night, May the 11th. Good luck.